year. Now, when the Hebrew month of Iyar marks the Hilula of Rav Avraham Yisrael Ze'evi, Zecher Tzadik Libracha. Now, in this month of Iyar, Ottoman Palestine at that point in time, and passed away in 1731. Once again, just like he was born there in the holy city of Israel, passed away there. He was about 81 years of age at the time he passed away. Very interesting enough, he'd go on to become a great Talmudist, a Shadar, Shulchay Rabbanan, one of the great rabbis of his time, respectively, and he was a great grandson of the Jerusalem-based Rabbi Yisrael ben Azariah Ze'evi, and he happened to also be the grandson of the famous Moroccan Kabbalist Rabbi Avraham Azulay, and much can be related within regards to him. He would go on actually to marry the daughter of Rabbi Koneki, another great rabbi in of itself, and he would go on to become the chief rabbi between the year 1701 to 1731 of חברון and the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Emet Yaakov, which I think was founded by Rav Avraham Pereira of Amsterdam, respectively. He'd go on to become emissary also on various occasions, especially in 1685, having a close connection to the Chacham Tzvi. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, he was born, as we said on the outset, I think around the year 1650 in חברון. Remember, חברון is one of the 4 holy cities of Israel, along with Tzfat, Tiberias, also Jerusalem, and Hebron is obviously the 4th one. And he would, as we stated before, so he was born around that time period. His father was a great rabbi, Rabbi Benjamin Ze'evi, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Chana Ze'evi. I believe she was the daughter of Rabbi Avraham Azulay, if I'm not mistaken. Sadly, when he was only 4 years of age, his father passed away. So his mother would have to have, like I say, the responsibility of bringing him up, raising him, and raise him in a great Torah way, naturally, in of itself. So she had all that responsibility. Especially while he was young, he would learn under the famous Rabbi Shmuel Abu Hab. I think he happened to be one of the great rabbis of Hebron. And after a period of time, he would continue learning Torah. I think especially inside his house, he was like, let's say, home Torah schooled for a period of time, I believe. And she would actually urge the various great Talmidei Chachamim and great Rabbanim of that specific vicinity with regards to help educating him, with regards to Torah, the Mishnah, and the Talmud, respectively. Now, when he was 18 years of age, he would get married, I believe, to the daughter of the famous Darshan and Shluchei Rabbanan, rabbinic emissary, of the name Rav Avraham ben Levi Koneki, another great rabbi. I believe we spoke about him on various occasions before. He was the author of various different great works, including the Avak Sofrim. I think that was actually printed in Amsterdam in its day, in Taf Samech Dalet, respectively. Then come with the year 1701, he would, I think, have a rabbinic position in the Hebron, a primary one at that point in time, and he would work within regard for many years within regards to Torah educating, especially with the Rosh Yeshiva at that point in time. I think the Yeshiva was called the Chesed L'Avraham Ve'emet Yaakov Institution. I think that was a great place in itself. That was one which was connected to Rabbi Pereira, which you mentioned on the outset of this class. I believe his daughter got married to Rav Avraham, if I'm not mistaken, to the son of Rav Avraham ben David Yitzchaki, who I think was actually a Rishon LeZion, chief rabbi of Israel in his time. I think his son, Rav Yitzchak, got married, I think, to if I'm not sure, to one of the daughters of Rav Avraham Yitzchaki, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double confirm that. Now, his second daughter got married to Rav Meir Danino, who I think was a grandson of the famous Abbedin of Hebron, the head of Jewish quarter of Hebron, Rav Nehemiah Danino, very much in of itself. And you can see many of the family in of itself would have a family connection to great Rabbanim, respectively. We stated about it various times inside the series that many of the great rabbis of that day, like their children, will get married to great rabbinic families also. Like I believe especially Rabbi, as we said on the outset, he came from great rabbinic auspices. Rabbi Yisrael ben Azariah Ze'evi was his great-grandfather. Rabbi Avraham Azulay was his grandfather. And Rabbi Isaac Azulay, Yitzchak Azulay, was his uncle. So you can just see the greatness of the connections within regards to have from the family sphere in itself, respectively. Now, I believe also there was a connection. His son Yitzchak Ze'evi, as we said before, I think had a family connection, to other great Rabbanim. I think very much got married into in itself. Now it's reported that he passed away in the month of Iyar, I believe, in the year Heitav Tzadik Aleph. That would naturally have been about 1730, 1731, and he was buried in the old Jewish cemetery in חברון. Now it's actually reported over that he had a connection to the Shabtai Tzvi movement to some degree, respectively. Now it's reported over there was the man that seemingly became a heretic at the end, Nehemiah Hayon, who we spoke about extensively in various videos recently. We spoke about Nehemiah Hayon in the video of the Chacham Tzvi, Rabbi Ashkenazi, who was the great Ashkenazi rabbi at the Netherlands of Amsterdam in his time. And Nehemiah Hayon would maybe be seen to have done some forgery and would try and advocate the Shabtai Tzvi movement. And it's reported over that the famous rabbi over here, I think initially might have had connections with, to some degree, with the Shabtai Tzvi, with different other followers over there. It's reported over. And seemingly, we don't know if it was a forgery or not, that Nehemiah Hayon actually used Avraham Yisrael's, let's just say, Ze'evi's, approval within the book. Some people say that it was a forgery, that his name was a forgery, and some people would have said that at that point in time, seemingly Avraham Yisrael Ze'evi didn't necessarily see anything wrong. I don't know which book it was specifically of Nehemiah Hayon's, but maybe he would have felt that maybe there was nothing heretical inside the book in itself, respectively. But some would say it was forgery, or some, I'm not too sure which book this was. Maybe this was one of the initial books in of itself, respectively. So I would recommend everyone to learn about the Sabbatinian movement and the flaws that they had, and maybe the heresy that actually came from within regards to that. And it's interesting. So if this, let's say Haskell, let's just say seemingly he gave him one of the books, might have been a forgery or not, that means to be seen. They also say that I think his relative we mentioned before, I think his father-in-law Rav Avram Konaki, also had a, let's say, initial connection also to the Shabtai Tzvi movement. Remember, many people said at the beginning maybe felt there was nothing heretical about the Shabtai Tzvi right at the start of everything. That's why he might have had the followers. But then it became very, very apparent the heresy behind and all the problems behind the movement, respectively. Now he left some great Torah colossal works also, including the Or Sharim, which was printed in Izmir, I believe in the year Tafkov Yudchet. Then there was a Sheilot Shuvot, questions and answers book called the Urim Gdolim, that was once again printed in Izmir in the year Tafkov Yudchet. Then I believe there was two books that would come out at a later stage of time, if I'm not mistaken, I think in separate volumes. Very, very interesting. Now, I think maybe had some connections within regards to Shulchan Aruch of Rabbi Akiva Eger, if I'm not mistaken, would actually mention this, I think, at a later stage of time. It could be there was a reprinting of the books in the year 2003 through Machon Mishnat Rabbi Aharon, which I have to point out also. So he passed away in Hebron, which was part of the Ottoman Palestine at that point in time. I think in the year 1731, we're talking about nearly 300 years ago. At time recording, about 294 years ago, here to be precise. He was a great rabbi, Rosh Yeshiva of the Emet Yaakov. He was a rabbinic emissary also of the city of חברון, traveling around, especially visited Constantinople, I think Turkey in the year 1685. It's reported over he met Rav Tzvi Ashkenazi at that point in time. Rav Tzvi Ashkenazi was a famous Chacham Tzvi, as we said at the outset. He was a chief rabbi of Amsterdam, representing the Ashkenazic community, especially the famous book called the Urim Gedolim, which mentioned that at the beginning, the Great Light, let's just say in itself, was a treatise on rabbinic law, which included, let's just say, Talmudic novel, various different sermons, and great response, respectively, which we have to point out. But he was a famous rabbi at this time, and it's reported over it was in this month of Iyar that the great rabbi, famous rabbi, passed away. Now, friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. We've already covered in this series more than 900 great chachamim of yesteryear. at the moment. Mostly nearly everyone from the northern African countries, from the Spanish countries, and so on and so forth. If you happen to descend from any of these great rabbis, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe now. We're coming near to 7,000 subscribers at the moment. And if anyone's interested in watching any of these videos, share the videos to other people also. Because what we're trying to do at the moment is not just cover the recent great Oriental rabbis, we're trying to delve into the 15th, 16th, 17th century, learn about what was going on in all these different places of all different Sephardic countries, Ottoman territories at that point in time, the great rabbinic academies there were, the bastion of Torah learning there were, how were families connected together, which great rabbis descend from these rabbis of like hundreds of years ago. That's another, let's just say, things we're trying to delve into at the moment. How do, like say, different ideas change as time progresses? These are all things that we are trying to discover and trying to find out as we progress in this series at the moment. So we're talking about holy cities. Hebron was a holy city in Dames, where the great Rabbi Ze'evi was born there and passed away there. I happen to be in the capital city of Israel, of the holy city of Jerusalem at the moment, just traveling at the moment. So on that bit, I'll wish you all a farewell and subscribe and take care. Wishing you blessings from Israel, and I'll give you all just a quick scene of Israel at the moment. Just an extra treat to all you guys watching the series of the Great Rabbanim. We actually happen to be at the moment in an area I think called Givat Shaul here in Jerusalem. So but it's actually interesting. There's a rabbi when the street of Rav Akiva Azulay. This is very much pertaining to this video because we talked about he had many family connections to the famous Azulay family, Kabbalistic family. So it could be, I'm not too sure, I'll have to double check. It could be Akiva Azulay might have been related, but don't quote me on that. But I'll leave you with some scenes here of the specific area here in Jerusalem. Everyone enjoy Israel. Here as we come into the famous area of deep into Givat Shaul and Kampei Nesharim. These are different areas. Also, and one of the other things we do inside this channel over here, we like to travel all over Israel, biblical Israel. There are different sites and scenes and different places, historic places. That's another added incentive to subscribe to the channel at the moment as we move about all the different vicinities. I remember this great rabbi, it happened to pass away in Iyar, so we happen to be in the month of Iyar at the moment. We're not too sure on the exact date in the month of Iyar that he passed away. If anyone happens to know, please send me an email and we would love to hear more. It's an area called Kampei Nesharim now. I think on this note, we'll call it today. Wishing you blessings here from Israel and take care.